Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. My name's Emma Bridger, and I'd love to welcome you to the UK and Ireland section of the Inspiring Workplaces People First Summit. 24 hours of amazing presentations, conversations, contributions. I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. I'm in awe. And I'm just doing like the next 2 hours. So so absolutely delighted to be here. We've got some brilliant speakers lined up for you today. I'm going to start off proceedings in just a sec, but I just want to say a few words about People First Summit before we do that. So, as I said, it's a 24-hour summit. Everything's available on demand afterwards, so you can have a catch up. I was really honoured when Matt and the team asked me to get involved with this. I have known Matt and the team since they started out many years ago, and have been involved in various ways over the years, and even won an award with them a few years ago, which I was delighted to win that. And I am a huge fan of the work they do, and a massive advocate of the people first kind of approach and movement. I started my career many years ago as a psychologist. I was an academic originally, and then kind of fell into the corporate world in the 90s, showing my age here, and did 10 years in-house. So I've always really kind of taken a people first approach. Often, you know, as many of us I'm sure will relate to this, often kind of being challenged by the executives, powers that be, to really take a people first approach. And I've really fought for that throughout my career. So it's kind of my lifelong work, really. Written a few books on employee engagement, employee experience. And I was absolutely over the moon, excited, delighted when I saw that that Inspiring Workplaces were launching the People First Summit, and we're really kind of advocating and pushing this people first approach, because it's kind of aligned with all the work that I do. And unbeknownst to Matt and the team, myself and my colleague Lee Smith had literally just turned in our new book, People First Internal Comms. Going to give it a plug a couple of times today. You know, so we were very much aligned, and it just felt like kind of a really pivotal moment, a real meeting of minds. And I really think there's a real movement and engagement around finally putting people front, center, and first of the work that we do in organizations. So really excited to be here. And would love to get some engagement as we go through the presentations today. So please do use the chat, the comment facility. We'd love to get questions from you, comments, thoughts, ideas. I'm always up for challenge. So some of what I'm saying today, you might not agree with, and that's great. We need conversation around this, right? So if you've got different thoughts, different ideas, if you want to, challenge me, provoke me, be provocative, I love that. Let's get some conversation going. So I said I've got some slides to share. I'm going to go till about 11:30, so I'm going to keep an eye on time, because I'm ADHD, so I tend to be pretty time blind, and I do something called lily padding, which is jumping around different ideas and thoughts. Some people love it, some people it annoys the hell out of them. So apologies if I do that. Being ADHD, we often talk about, a short story long. So I'm going to do my best to keep us on time today. I promise the team working brilliantly behind the scenes that I will do that. So let's get started, shall we? I'm not sure if I'm able to drive the slides or not, but if not, I can shout and get Marta to help me with this. So the People First revolution is here. Marta's saying I can drive them. I've just got to figure out how to do that. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can figure this out. It's technical. Click space. Got it. Thank you. That's easy. People First revolution is here. So I'm going to be talking today about this moment in time. I think we've got a once in a generation opportunity to really put our people front and center of what we do. And the irony is that it's the tech, it's AI that's going to allow us to do that. So let me explain what I mean by this and share some thoughts and ideas with you. So let's see if I can, hang on. I'm pressing space, arrows, mouse. Let's have a look. No, I think we'll have to, I'm on a Mac. It's always challenging when you're on a Mac, isn't it? So it's like nothing quite works as it should do. So I'm going to state the obvious here. Please forgive me. The world of work has changed radically, rapidly. at an exponential level, quicker than any time in my lifetime. I'm 55, showing my age here, but we've always talked about things changing at pace, but oh my goodness, I don't think we've ever seen things change in the way they've changed in the last few years. So let's talk about this. So there's a couple of key concepts I really want to share with you, or key ideas here. So first of all, our employees now expect a consumer grade experience at work, right? So outside of work, you know, the experience we have with brands it is second to none. So for those of you that are into music, you might use Spotify, or you might use Amazon, you might use Netflix, but these brands now know us really well, right? They know what music I want to listen to. I mean, if you're into music, I'm massively into music. I used to play bass guitar many years ago in bands. You know, Spotify knows me so well that the playlist it comes up with, that the suggestions it makes, it's like, wow, this is amazing. Netflix, for those of you that have got kids like I have, if any of my kids log onto my Netflix, it really bugs me because they mess up my algorithm. And sometimes I get like really random, weird suggestions. It's like, no, I want to keep my algorithm for me, because then Netflix knows exactly what I want to watch, right? So I think as employees, we want that kind of consumer grade experience inside of work. And if you think about how the workplace has changed. So when I first started in the corporate world back in the 90s, the world was so different back then. It was kind of almost like you should be grateful to have a job. You'll be grateful that you get paid. If you're lucky, you'll have a conversation once a year about how you're doing. It was very hierarchical, very command and control. And now employees expect, you know, they want to be coached at work, not managed. They want purpose at work. So we have much higher expectations that we've got to deal with. If we're working in the people side of the business, the HR side, the culture side, the internal comm side, the world of work's changed, and we've got to really rise to that and really meet the demands of our people. Otherwise, they might leave, or if they don't leave, they might not do a great job. They might kind of switch off. Quiet quitting, I think we've been calling that the last few years. So that's the first big concept I want to talk about. The next concept, you can move on to the next slide, please, Martha, thanks. I can see it now. Do you know what? It's come up now, the little clicker thing. So I love this quote from Gallup: employees have become the consumers of the workplace. This quote's been around for about 8 years now, and we use this a lot, talk about this a lot. So the other big kind of concept idea really is AI. AI has radically reshaped the world of work, significantly changed the way we do things at speed. I think most of us are now using AI at work. We're figuring out what that means. There are very few experts because we're all learning this on the go, right? So yeah, there are experts in terms of the kind of the tech side, but in terms of how we use AI for the people side of the business, we're all kind of learning as we go, right? So this has really radically reshaped the way that we approach work, the way that we deal with work. And this idea of kind of the consumer grade experience that's expected, plus the rise of AI, has created kind of a perfect storm. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you a question. If AI could do 8% of your job, what would your role be? Now, if you've got time or inclination to put something in the chat, the comments, let me know, because I'd love to see what you think of that. But what's really interesting is a lot of the work that we do. I should say, actually, I didn't say this at the beginning. I actually run a couple of businesses. I run a company called People Lab. We're consultants in the world of experience, how AI is shaping the world of HR and internal comms. And I also run a company called the EX Space, which is kind of a learning development for anybody in the world of EX. And something we've been doing a lot of is working with businesses to help them really think about how AI can kind of free up time and add value without taking away from people's roles. And something I've been getting a lot of people to do is to stick their job description or their task list into AI of choice, be it Copilot, ChatGPT, and saying, this is what I do, or this is what this is kind of what I'm all about day to day, or week to week, or month to month. How much of this could you do for me? How much of this do we need to do together? And what of this can you definitely not do for me right now? And depending on your job role, the kind of percentage that's coming back is anything between about 50 and 80%, right? Which is quite a shocking statistic. So you need to have a think about what that means for you. I'd love to hear from you if you've got any thoughts on that. No comments coming through yet, but hopefully this will inspire you to think about that. You might even do it while I'm talking and tell me what you come up with. So the robots are here, right? So as I said, I actually think that this is a wonderful opportunity. I definitely come from the world of abundance and optimism. I use a lot of positive psychology in the work that I do. So I actually think that rather than being threatened and scared by this, we need to use this opportunity to really think about where we can add the value when it comes to our roles, whatever part of the kind of the employee lifestyle you're working, whether it's L&D or HR or internal comms. Have a think about how AI could free you up to do perhaps the things you've always said, I'd love to do that if only I had the time. And I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean by that as we go through these slides. So I'm going to refer to a couple of brilliant pieces of research out there. We can share the links to this in the follow-up afterwards. But if you haven't come across the World Economic Forum's Future of Work, Future of Jobs report, then definitely take a look. So this is kind of real thought leadership around the way jobs are going. And this isn't just the jobs that we do as kind of HR, people side of the business. This is all jobs. And what we're seeing is that as we go through the next sort of few years and into the future, the most in-demand skills are going to shift from that kind of technical knowledge, so that expert knowledge we have at the moment, to much more human-centered capabilities. So we talk about the era of the expert as coming to an end. So in years gone by, whether you're working, so if you're working in internal comms, you're an expert in content, in managing channels. If you're working in L&D, you might be an expert in designing training. If you're working in performance management, you might be an expert in how to design great performance approaches, reward, etc. AI can now do a lot of that legwork, right? And AI is also able to draw on many different kind of inputs to essentially, be the whole is greater than some of its parts. So what's left for us? Well, what the World Economic Forum's job report is saying, that actually it's the human-centered capabilities. So you can see already really aligning with people first, right? It's the human side is where we'll add the value, because the value we added yesterday and today, that won't be valued anymore, because AI will be able to do, and is already doing a lot of that stuff, right? So what we're talking about here are things like empathy, curiosity, creativity. And actually, that's kind of what we should have always been really focused on, but we haven't had the time to do that, because we've had to be kind of focusing on the expert skills that were needed that nobody else could do apart from us. And now we've got someone to help us out with that. So we're going to be working with AI agents as part of our team to do a lot of that work. The other piece I'd definitely recommend you have a look at is Microsoft's Work Trends Annual Report. Definitely worth a read. And they talk about the future of work as being characterized by human agent hybrid teams. So we're going to have AI agents being part of our teams to help perform the operational and technical tasks. So for example, today, if you're using Copilot, right, today, you can set up an AI agent to help you nudge your managers, for example, if you think they're not doing a great job. So you might say, I want an AI agent. And by the way, I've got some great tools to help you to do this. You're thinking, Emma, but how on earth do I do this? I don't even know what an AI agent is. Fear not. I've got some great tools to help you to do that. Some really kind of step-by-step guides that will show you how to set up an AI agent. But today you can say, well, I want an AI agent to help my managers to engage their teams, right? So I want them to have a look at engagement data. So it might be real-time data, it might be annual data, but have a look at engagement data. Have a look at what those managers are doing with their teams. How often are they meeting with their teams? They're meeting very often. What are their teams sort of talking about on Viva Engage, for example? You can put in a load of different inputs, right? And your AI agents can nudge your managers, say, hey, I've noticed that you haven't had a meeting with your team for a month or a couple of weeks. Might be a good idea to check in with them. Or I've noticed that your team are on Viva Engage, are talking a lot about being worried about this latest OD piece that's happening. It might be a great time to check in with them, but maybe set up some time to talk through what you know about that. So it's going to take a lot of that, I guess, that kind of admin heavy work that we, that sort of I guess that utopia we dreamed about years ago, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? That's now reality, right? So years ago, we would not have ever had the time or bandwidth to kind of do that one-to-one work with our managers. AI agents can do that for us. They can keep an eye on all of that. The trick is with how we set that up. But as I said, it's not that difficult. It's not that tricky. I've got some brilliant tools I can share with you to help you to do that and set up AI agents to do some of that work. So this is the way the world of work is going. And certainly within our world, this is the opportunity that we're going to be able to realize. So we talk about this as our blockbuster moment, right? So for those of you that are the same age as me, you remember years ago, we used to love on a Friday night going down to Blockbuster, renting a DVD, or even if you're as old as I am, maybe a video, buying some popcorn. And obviously the world of entertainment changed. Netflix came along. It's a really interesting story, actually. We've got time to have a look at it. And Blockbuster, they didn't really see the way the world was going. Instead, they kind of went down the retail route. Thought, well, we'll just kind of use our retail kind of assets, and we'll sell more stuff in our stores, without realizing that everything was kind of going to go online. Okay, so Netflix came along, and Blockbuster is no more. I actually miss the days of Blockbuster. So if we kind of embrace this opportunity and we say, you know what, rather than being scared and worried by AI, we say, you know, we can use AI to help kind of facilitate a consumer grade experience for our people. That is where the magic will happen. That is where we'll really demonstrate the value we add. You know what? Don't replace me with AI. Get me to work with AI, and we'll get a much better outcome. We'll get higher performance. We'll get higher engagement. We'll get people wanting to come work with us. That is where the magic will happen. So have a think about that. So I believe the future belongs to human-centered design, and we call this People Lab and the X Space. We call this People First. So as I said, it's a perfect alignment here with me hosting this section and sharing these ideas with you, and inspiring workplaces, launching the very first People First Summit, and having the People First Awards. So it just feels like kind of a real kind of meeting and a real movement that's happening around this. So really excited by this. So I'm just going to share a little bit of background. So I guess just to kind of reinforce what I've said already. So AI can do a lot of what we used to do previously. So any of you writing policies, right? So if you're thinking, oh, you know, years ago, say COVID times, like, Emma, can you please write a hybrid, best practice hybrid working policy? Well, what is best practice? I've no idea. What does a good hybrid working policy look like? I'm not quite sure. Would have taken me probably, weeks, days, doing lots of Google research to come up with that. AI can now do that in seconds, okay? And yeah, we know AI needs the human side. We need the guardrails, we need the ethics around it. We need to always have humans to check it's not having an off day where it hallucinates slightly. Give us the references. Show me where you got that from. Give me the evidence. There are ways to use AI effectively, but AI can do that. If used well, it can do that in seconds. It would have taken me probably at least weeks to do that previously. Let's talk about analyzing sentiment at scale. Again, I started my life as a research psychologist. I mean, goodness, the amount of weeks and months I've spent during my career going through qualitative analysis. It takes time and effort. AI can really work with us now to do that at scale really quickly. So tasks that took us a long time previously, AI can now do. And those are just a couple of examples. But what AI can't do is the human side, right? So AI can't understand how different employees might thrive or struggle remotely. AI can't read the room in the way that we read the room. AI will struggle to build trust, lead with empathy, and create a culture of belonging. So there is a lot where we still absolutely add the value. So we talk about this as the shift from process-driven HR, even expert-driven HR, to experience-driven EX. So that's where the kind of the magic happens here. So yeah, AI can automate, but humans design experiences that engage and inspire. So AI, us plus AI, I keep saying, is where we'll really see the value. We'll really see what we do being turbocharged over sort of the following months and years. So I'm really excited by this. So yeah, AI can optimize, but it can't create connection. So we are not in a place where we should be competing with AI. We need to augment develop AI augmented skills to work with it. So this is, for me, the future. This is the people first approach. So the irony being that tech's come along and it will give us the space that we need to be genuinely people first. I'm really excited about this shift. So for me, the people practitioners of the future, even today, are not just going to be experts in whatever part of the employee life cycle you're working, whether you're working in IC or L&D or performance or HR. You're going to need to draw on other disciplines here. So we talk a lot about using things like design thinking, service design. Design thinking, service design, if you come across them, they are all about human-centered problem solving. They put people at the heart of their approach. And you know what? Our colleagues in marketing, customer experience, product, they've been using these tools and approaches for many, many years. We are just starting to wake up to the value they add in the world of HR. And the book I wrote with B. Ganaway 6 years ago now, Employee Experience by Design. So if any of you come across that, that was one of the first books that really started using these approaches, these methods, tried and tested approaches, methods in the world of people. Much more kind of common today. So now we hear about, people mapping a journey, maybe mapping a return to work journey for someone that's been on maternity leave, for example, in the world of HR. But 10 years ago, people in HR weren't really using these approaches. And internal comms, very few people are using these approaches. But this is where we're able to take some tried and tested methodologies and intentionally be more human in the work that we do. So this is very pragmatic. It's not about just kind of going, well, I'll be more human at work, be more people first at work. It's about using tried and tested tools to intentionally be more people first. Just checking on time. I need to get a move on. I said I'm very time blind. So the skills we need for the future of work are going to be much more kind of people first. So the question isn't if AI will change work, it's how we prepare ourselves for this. So I kind of made this point. And as I said, the most in-demand skills are going to be the human skills. So things like creativity, the stuff that AI is going to struggle to do or struggle to do without our input, complex problem solving, EQ, resilience, curiosity. And if you're interested in this, again, we've got a great piece of research we did, we've called the EX archetypes, that shows how we can really dial up those skills. So I can share that with you afterwards as well. And as I said, the tools, this isn't just kind of, oh, well, I'll be more empathic. We have a whole suite of tools that we're able to use to intentionally be more people first at work that kind of hold our hand in doing this. So I'm not going to go into this in great detail, but we've got a whole kind of ecosystem of tools that basically walk us through what it means to be more people first, whether you're designing new training, whether you are looking at an EVP, whether you're looking at reward recognition, whatever you're doing, we have the tools to help you to do that in a people first way. So for example, you might map a journey. So you can map a return to work journey, an onboarding journey, a performance management journey, things like an empathy map. So when we're thinking about designing solutions for the people that we're working with, so let's just take the example of performance management, something that has never really worked, right? In all the years I've been working in the HR world, the internal comms world, very, very rarely see people get performance management right. So we can use an empathy map to sort of say, well, let's stand in the shoes of the people we're designing for. What do they think and hear when they hear it's time for the performance management conversation? What are they seeing? What are their pains and gains? We can use these insights to help us genuinely design a people-first approach for performance management. The bottom left there, we've got an ideation approach. So rather than jumping straight to solution, we can say, you know what? Let's think about following in the footsteps of our colleagues in marketing or product and saying, how can we use ideation tools to come up with a better solution? So the tools are there, they're tried and tested, but they're not very well used in the world of HR yet. So we can use those tools to much better effect. Before I hand over to our first proper speaker, I just want to just very quickly just say a word on people first internal communication. Because as I said, when Aspiring Workplaces launched the people first kind of approach and well, the people first, I suppose, lens, Lee and I had written the people first internal communication book. And we talked about this kind of journey going from process-led to expert-led to people first. I've kind of talked about that already. And the idea is that using AI allows us to get underneath the surface. And this works for internal comms, it works for any area of HR. But using AI to do a lot of that kind of heavy lifting above the surface, the process stuff, visible stuff, gives us space to genuinely get underneath the surface and really, really stand in the shoes that people we're designing for, using those tools I talked about. So I've worked with so many teams to say, yeah, I'd love to map some journeys with, let's look at take onboarding. I'd love to map an onboarding journey with people who've been through onboarding, but I just don't have the time. You have the time now because AI can do a lot of the heavy lifting that our time was taken up with before. So this is what we're talking about here. And the strengths and capabilities. So we've got a very specific capability model for IC, and we have a very similar capability model for EX. So we talk about, we still need our key capabilities, our foundational skills. So that stuff on the right-hand side, if you're in internal comms, was kind of what we used to do as experts. Now you can kind of imagine overlaying that with any area that you work in within the people side of the business. So if you're working in reward or L&D or OD, there are kind of key capabilities that you still need to know about. You need to know your stuff because you need to check that AI is doing a good job, right? So you're not made redundant. It's just that AI can do it quicker, faster, and draw on lots more kind of resources and best practice and research than we would ever be able to do, right? We just don't have the time to do that. So AI can now do a lot of that, but we still need to check that it's doing it right and it's not having one of its days when it hallucinates slightly. On the strategic side, we need to really dial up the human-centered side. So the people first side, the design thinking, the service design, the systems thinking, the behavioral science, etc. But the superpowers, whether we're working in internal comms or L&D or any area of HR, this is what will set us apart in the future. And this links back to that World Economic Forum report and the Microsoft Work Trends reports. This isn't just like the world according to Emma Bridger. This is like best practice, big, powerful research houses saying these are the skills we're going to need in the future, not just in the HR side, the people side, but across all areas of the business. So things like empathy and curiosity. This is where we're going to add the value in the future. So have a think about what that might mean for you. So be the architect of the future. AI is not going to replace us, but if we fail to embrace the human side, the people first side, then we're going to become obsolete. So we have a choice: react to change or lead the transformation. That's my kind of rallying call to you before I hand over to Corinne in just a second. Just going to give you a quick 3-point action plan before I hand over and give my book a quick plug. Get curious, try tools, experiment. Map a journey if you've never mapped a journey before. Use some ideation tools. Use an empathy map. Get human. Focus on the stuff that AI can't do. Stick your job description into AI and say, what can you help me out with here? And what are the bits that you're never going to be able to do? Get ready for that conversation. Get designing. Map some journeys. Improve what you're doing. So get designing. So that'll be my 3-point action plan to leave you before I hand over to Corinne in just a sec. The book, People First Internal Comms, is coming out in December. If you're interested, order a copy. And I said the book I wrote with B, Employee Engagement, Employee Experience by Design, it's now in its 2nd edition. It's got everything you need to do that, to do everything I've talked about today. Sign up to the EX space. All the tools are on there. You can join Essentials for free. We give away loads of stuff for free because I'm so passionate about this. It's my life's work. So sign up, join the EX space. A lot of the tools that I've talked about today are on there.